Hey, Waylon from the Zombie Star, and this week in comics, we saw a release of a new King in Black tie-in with Spider-Man. We saw the finale, the conclusion to our Marvel Zombies Resurrection, and from Image Comics, Stillwater, that we'll get into in a bit. Let's just start with the conclusion of Marvel Zombies. Not anything new. This was something that was released a few years back, um, and it's kind of like this big what if concept of what if our favorite heroes all became flesh-eating zombies. But really, this cover art, when I saw this, this is not a rehash of the story. This is a continuation of that story. But of course, when this cover art came out, I just thought it was absolutely amazing. That's a zombie Galactus, y'all. And of course, the only hero that can save us all, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, I don't know, you have to read it, is Spider-Man. Something that previous issues did that was really awesome was, of course, tribute covers and tribute art for none other than Chadwick Boseman. This is number two and number three of it. And of course, you can see at the top they did that Chadwick Boseman tribute, rest in power, the year of his birth, and unfortunately the year of his passing. 2020 did see the passing of Chadwick Boseman, but of course, Marvel I think is doing an awesome job of just really remembering not only just a great actor and entertainer, but of course, he played our Black Panther in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And they're just doing a real good job, make sure that he's celebrated and remembered for what he did. But this was the actual release. This is the conclusion. It was 4 issues. That's Captain Marvel, just zombified out. Looks awesome. And obviously, the center of the story is Spider-Man. So a really good Spider-Man story, but also a really good zombie story. I like the original more than this short run, but it's not over. It ends with a cliffhanger. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Only 4 issues, not that big of a read, and of course it was not heavily anticipated. It is a resurrection, it is a continued story, so I'm sure it's a good recommendation for a short Marvel kind of off the beaten path story. Keeping in Marvel, King in Black is so big right now. Noel is a huge character, and the symbiote suits are just running amok in the Marvel Universe. So this past week, we saw a tie-in, a King in Black tie-in in the Spider-Man universe with Symbiote Spider-Man #1. This is a really cool story. One, because I just love anything that has to do with Peter Parker and Spider-Man in the symbiote suit, in his black symbiote suit. And issue 1 is just jam-packed with cameos. We have Black Knight. Here, that's how it works. Black Knight, the Watcher, and of course Kang the Conqueror, and a new villain. Okay, that is for me. I don't know if he's come out before, but for me, it's his first appearance that I know of. Interesting story, of course, of just Spider-Man having to handle and encounter this. Really, it's like an outbreak of these symbiote suits just running amok in the city. And of course, it came with variant covers. I don't know if it came with incentive covers. If it did, I missed out on them. But again, look at this art. Same book. This is #1. This is cover one of the other covers. But just really cool, just depiction of Spider-Man in his black suit. These covers are a lot of fun because they serve a specific purpose. You want to collect these covers, and what these are used for is if back in the day, when things were normal, we would go to these Comic Cons and everything. And you take these covers to have artists or writers, creators sign it. This cover, you'd obviously have a silver marker where an artist would sign these things. Still very cool to send off to maybe like CGC or something like that to have an artist sign. So that's why they make these kind of blank covers. Sometimes you see all white. In this case, because of it being King in Black and symbiote suit, it's a blank black cover, which is pretty cool. Probably my favorite is this retro kind of throwback to like an older kind of version or an older take of Spider-Man. Check out that Venom over there. At least I think that's Venom. This guy right here. And of course, Spider-Man, he just looks, this is like maybe something more that you would have seen in the 90s or something like that. Image Comics. I think Image Comics is personally something that is my favorite because I think it just puts out a lot of original content. I think a lot of the writers are working to put out a lot of original content. Jeff Lemire is probably one of my favorite writers, creators from Image, and I'm currently reading Family Tree. I haven't really talked about Family Tree. It's a really interesting run. And also Department of Truth that I think I went over in a previous video. But Stillwater from Image Comics, and we have, this is from Chip Zdarsky, Raymond K. Perez, and Mike Spicer. Okay, really interesting run. Again, think of like Twilight Zone, in like just a really long Twilight Zone story. That was number one. That was the number one cover. We did have incentives, we did have variants, but I missed them all, so I only collected the standard covers. This is number two, and this past week we saw number three. Premise of the story: it's really crazy. It's really out there. I mean, think of just a town with something really special about this town. That's both weird and out there, but also pretty scary. Pretty scary idea. And the story follows an individual that is really trapped in this town. And he's trying to solve all the mysteries of this town, but also trying to save his own life. Again, if you're looking for recommendations for something to read that's really just fun to read, it's not a long read. I believe this is going to be maybe 8 to 6 issues. I'm not sure. We only saw the release of number 3 this past week. But Stillwater, it's a really good read. Along with, if you all have not started reading Department of Truth, that's something really cool as well. So that was our comics in this week. We saw the conclusion of Marvel Zombies. We saw the beginning of Symbiote Spider-Man. I think I'm really going to like this one. And of course, I am just enjoying Stillwater. Okay, so that was it for comics this week. We'll see you guys next week. We'll see what the releases will be. See you guys later.